Okay, go.
Okay. Is steroid and hormone use in food animals okay? Group 2, Animal Science 67, April 29th, 2020. Macy Myers, Danielle Lane, and James Cepeda. History. The FDA has approved many hormones and steroid use for sheep and beef cattle since the 1950s. These drugs have helped the animals' growth rate and the efficiency they convert their feed the animals eat into meat. The FDA only approves the drugs after many tests and trials have been done. The drugs don't hurt the animals or the environment around the animals. The FDA has approved naturally occurring hormones and other hormones called synthetic hormones. You see, it is a picture of a cow, sheep, and a farm. History. As early as the 1930s, there were reports of hormone use in animals. It was considered illegal at the time because there was no scientific evidence that it was beneficial to the animal. Since then, there are 6 approved drugs for the animals: estradiol, progesterone, testosterone, zeranol, trebolone, and menagestrol. Animals have gone up in weight, which makes more food for the consumer and more money for the farmer and ranchers. Current events. In 2019, the Chinese government put restrictions on beef imports from the United States because of hormone use, which hurt the economy a little bit. In 2019, there were over $51 billion spent on the worldwide beef trade, which was up 3.9% compared to 2018 trade stats. Australia had $7.6 billion worth of beef exports, and that was responsible for 15% of the world's beef exports. You can see over here, levels of hormones in common food. You can't really see it, but that says sheep, it says cabbage, and just the list goes on and on, kind of like that TED Talk earlier. In 2018, the exports from the U.S. was up 12.6% more than in 2017. The hormones have been proven to give the animal more growth. They also added more than $300 per head, which was good for the economy and the farmers. Cows produce 10 to 20% more milk when given hormones, which is good for consumers. It's good for basically everyone. 10 to 15% more daily growth rate for beef and cattle, which is good for everyone. Beef exports history from Brazil. It says tonas. I'm not sure what that means, assuming it means beef in Brazilian. I'm not really sure. Then you see, like, it starts off here at 1997, 98, 99. As you see, it just keeps on going up and going up and going up. And then 2007, and then in 2008, there's a little recession, and it kept going for a little while. And then in 2013, it got back up. 2014, got a little bit better. Then 2015 and 16, they took a little dip, not too far. And then 17, it went up. In 2018, it went up. And 2019, it should have gone up also. So you see over here, these are the red, the more darker red are the places that have more beef exports and beef production. As you can see, Brazil, the United States, Europe, India, and China make up the most. Then you have Russia. They don't really make that much, but it's more than all the other countries that have just nothing but white. Then you can see Australia down there. They're a little bit darker than Russia, so they export a little bit more. Let's see. Global beef exports. You can see over here, this is supposed to be the pounds, I believe. India has the most. Brazil comes in second, and then Australia.
Hi, I'm Danielle. I'm doing the ethical aspects. One word that is also interchangeable is good. The Oxford Dictionary lists the word ethical as a synonym to good. A lot of people have asked the question, how can giving animals steroids and hormones be good for them or people consuming them? Below here, I list numerous different reasons for proving that the use of steroids and hormones in food animals is ethical. And the first reason that it is ethical, make them younger and healthier. If the steroids were causing the animals to be unhealthy or in poor physical condition, they would not be used due to profits on the animals decreasing. So that's definitely a good thing. Number 2, the additives given to the animals typically make them gain weight quickly, which helps to feed more people faster. The animal, but also the consumer. And I can't change the slide.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, so sociological importance. So how is this affecting society? As time passes, the population of the world is steadily climbing at a rate of about 81 million people per year. So as more people begin to move into I can never say that word, rural areas, and more buildings and structures are being built, less farmland is available. 10% of the world's acreable acres lie within the United States, yet 31 million acres of farmland were lost to development between 1992 and 2012. That's approximately 175 acres per hour and 3 acres per minute. So how can we expect to still be able to feed a growing population without hardly any farmland? By giving livestock hormones and steroids, we're increasing their abilities to provide, which helps, or this will allow us to be better able to produce enough food for the population with the amount of land dwindling. For some examples of how these hormones and steroids affect the beef and honestly any animal, is especially in beef cattle, they're given testosterone and progesterone to increase growth and development, which helps to be able to feed more people as the population keeps growing. And dairy cattle are given bovine growth hormone, or RBGH, to promote milk production. So by giving these animals so many steroids and hormones, it's helping them out by making them stronger and helping us to feed more people and do more good.
So the question is, why should we support the use of hormones in food animals? According to Chapter 6 of our Animals in Society textbook, in the TED Ed lesson, hormones may be produced in small amounts, but they control important body functions such as digestion, growth, development, and reproduction. My name is Macy Myers, and I'm here to explain to you why we should support this. Hormones are already a natural part of the body in both animals and humans. With that being said, they're safely used. The FDA, or the Food and Drug Administration, tests in both humans and animals the appropriate hormones that we can use. One example of this is that humans use birth control, and after females use birth control, it is still safe and receptive of them if they would like to continue and carry out a pregnancy. Also, hormones are really efficient. As Danielle had touched on, it really allows animals to grow faster, which in turn creates a lower cost for the consumer. She also touched on how we can feed a growing population with less land. The term for that is sustainability. For sustainability, it's important to counter in our social, environment, and economic aspects when we're thinking about what sustainable ag practices are. Hormones are definitely one of them. In addition, timing. Here we have a picture of sheep. Sheep are a seasonal polyestrous animal, which means that they come into heat during certain times of the year naturally according to their breed. With differences in breeds, for meat production, sheep aren't all the same. It's important that we have hormones such as progesterone in order to get them into heat so they can breed and produce for important events during the year. One of the biggest events during the year where sheep is consumed is Easter time. And during Easter, there wouldn't normally be lambs that are produced and processed at that time. But with the proper timing and use of progesterone, this is possible. Four. So the question is on adding hormones to animals, and here's why we should. Since they already have hormones in them, how are we going to add to them that's going to benefit us? Well, the world population is expected to reach 9.8 billion people in the year 2050. And meat is a great source of protein. In addition, milk provides great calcium for the consumer, and other animal products have been a part of our human diet for centuries. On the right here, we see some American staples such as the hamburger and the pizza, which, funny enough, was once considered by the USDA a vegetable. However, our regulations on organizations such as the FDA and USDA have become more with the times and have created an environment for us Americans to eat safely and meet a growing demand. Hormones can, again, grow and produce the animals and the animal products that we need quicker in order to meet the demands of not only our local area, but also our nation and our country. At the same time, the introduction of hormones in animals does reduce the product cost for the consumer. The FDA specifically tests each of these hormones to ensure their safety and practicality. And like vaccinations that have a withdrawal period, meaning once an animal gets a shot, there's a certain number of days where it can cycle out of their system. Hormone residue is the same way. The FDA mentions that hormone residue left after processed products are available to the consumer is still deemed safe for human consumption. Animals are also treated as humanely as possible when administering hormones. An informed opinion. Based on what we know and what we've learned from our Animals in Society lecturer, Dr. Michelle Yancey, here's a few of the following lessons that she's implemented about the use of hormones. The use of supplemental hormones, or added hormones, is allowed only in some species, and it's based on years of scientific study and veterinarian oversight. She also mentions that it's known that some hormones from animals can help people who don't make enough of a given hormone. For example, pigs are able to create insulin, which helps diabetic people, which is a huge problem in America. Also, supplemental hormones may be safely used for both the raising of beef cattle and in cows for milk production. And with the lack of residue after the product is processed, this does not harm your children or create irregular growth patterns. She also mentions that because of this deliberate slow release, the FDA has said that no pre-harvest withdrawal of these added indigenous hormones is necessary to protect public health. Rather, the FDA emphasized that consumers are not at risk from eating food from animals treated with these compounds because the amount of the added hormone in their edible tissues, get this, is no different from the amount of hormone in the edible tissues of non-treated cattle. So it's practically the same. Modern U.S. agriculture produces the most abundant, most affordable, and safest food supply in the world. Behind this are research, technology, and innovation from places like the FDA. Overall, it leads to greater sustainability in a world where the population will likely double by the year 2050. And here's some of our sources that we use in order to put together this presentation. Thank you.